Hello class 10th. Only few days are left for your board, so I have brought you a video on most important topics of science. These topics are mostly repeated every year. By these topics you can cover your 80% of syllabus. Start with the chemistry part first. First chapter here has you have is a chemical reaction and equation. So in this chapter you have to go through only these topics. First topics comes with the balancing of chemical reaction. So in balancing of chemical reaction you have to know to balance a stable chemical reaction, and second is the types of chemical reaction. You have to remember their definition, and it's compulsory to remember two example of each type. So you have to remember every type of a chemical reaction. So in these all reactions, double displacement reaction is very important. They may ask you a mixed type questions on this topic. So next we go forward with the oxidation and reduction. In this you have to go through a rancidity. This you have to remember the examples and definition. In rancidity they may ask you a MCQ type questions and mixed questions. Second is method of corrosion and prevention. So next is the important activities I'm going to say you. First you have to go through 1.1 activity. In this they will ask their reaction and the such question like why is magnesium ribbon rubbed. In 1.3 which is activity of an zinc granules, they'll ask you a reaction on HCl and H2SO4, and second they will ask you the test, how to test to find a H2 gas here. And this here it is a 1.7 activity. This is very important. So you have a reaction here. In this reaction there is a twice amount of gas present, so you have to remember this. And then it is a H2 gas in a cathode and O2 gas anode, which is formed by a burning candle. If it is a H2 gas, the pop sound will come. In anode it will come a flame. So you have to remember this. So next activity is 1.9, in which this activity is about a displacement reaction. So in this they will ask only two types of question. First you have to remember the reaction, which is very important, and the color of a solution. So here are some important reaction. If you want you can take a screenshot. These reaction will come as it is in your exam, so please remember this. So focus on these reactions and please try to remember this. This reaction will come as it is on your exams. It is very important. So next chapter is acid, basis and salt. In this basic you have to remember is the nature of indicator. You have to remember how a phenolphthalein solution indicates, a turmeric indicates, a methyl orange indicates. Next is the acid. In this metal, in which H2 gas gives a pop sound, and a metal carbonate, a hydrogen carbonate. You have to remember this. So next topic is a test for CO2 gas. So here you add a lime water with a CO2 gas, you get a white PPT. So this reaction is also important. Next is in acid basis in water solutions. If in water solution H and OH, so you get a salt. Even you have to remember a pH scale of acid basis, on which point it turns acid and on which point it starts with a basic. Then it is a salt. How the you have to remember salt's chemical formula, formations, uses and properties. Chemical formula is the main important thing here. So here are the four this if so you have to remember these four chemical formation, uses, properties of salts, which are bleaching powder, POP. POP means plaster of Paris. Then a baking soda and a washing soda. These four, if you remember, it's more than important here. Then you have an activity called a chlor-alkali process in your NCERT textbook. So in that, this reaction is mainly important here. So you go through it. The next activity is the metal carbonate and metal hydrogen carbonates. In this activity, you have to remember the reaction and the changes in a sodium carbonate. What changes takes place in a sodium carbonate? This question they may ask. Then next we go with the next chapter called metals and non-metals. In metals and non-metals, you have to remember the physical properties of a metal and non-metal. It's better if you remember it in a difference type. Like they ask a question, right difference between a metal and non-metal. So just 5 if you remember, it's more than enough here. Then in metal you have to remember reactions with oxygen, water, acid, and metal, double displacement, which reaction which happens with metal and metal, it is called a double displacement reaction. So these you have to remember, practice these reactions when metal is added with oxygen or a water or a metal. So these are important. Then it is called a reactivity series. This is important. In reactivity series, ionic compound formation, how ionic compound is formed, formation, maybe you have in your NCERT book. This whole explanation should be remembered. They may ask you for a 5 marks or 3 marks questions, and their properties, which is important. These ionic compound formation and properties are very important here. Then extraction of metal, in this, these four are important. So calcination, thermatic reaction, this is a reaction short form here, and a roasting, electrolytic refining. So these four are important. Go through these. So next is anode mode definition. This also is present in an NCERT. You can go through it. Then it is the prevention of corrosion. You have to remember how corrosion is prevented. It is also called galvanization. Correct. So here we have a important activity reaction which comes as it is for your exam. So you have to practice this. So go through it first. Next is next activity is 3.10. In this also reaction is important. Then we have a next chapter called carbon and its compounds. In this you have to remember properties of carbon, at least 5 to 6 properties you have to remember it. Then why carbon have form of 4 bond, this question may come. So go through it. Why carbon is a versatile nature. Carbon valency has 4. Carbon valency is 4 allotropes of carbon. Then you have to remember of a structure of a diamond, graphite, C60. These all are important in this chapter. Then the structure of compound. In structure of compound, there is saturated and unsaturated compounds, functional group in a carbon compounds, in which Cl and chlorine and bromines, alcohol, ketone, acid. These you have to remember in a functional groups, which are very important here. Next is homologous series, then nomenclature of a carbon compound, chemical properties, oxidation, addition, formation of ghee, substitution, cleaning action of soap. Soap means missiles. So then we have a ethanol and ethanoic acid, in which you have to remember the properties, their reaction with sodium, reaction with H2SO4. Then in this they won't ask a single reactions here. They may ask you the ethanol plus ethanoic acid is equal to ester. So in this it is a reverse reaction here. So they may ask you this. So here completes a chemistry part. These topics are mostly important. Please go through it. So if this video is helpful to you, please like, share and subscribe. If you want a PDF of these topics, please do comment. So next video will be on a biology topics and diagrams which are important for, mostly important for your exams. So thank you.